America, we stand for freedom. Though freedom is never really free, we yearn and strive for government protecting our liberty.
Good evening and welcome to Your Right to Know by the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. My name is Mary Lotze and I will be your host for this evening's show. Tonight I'm joined by two absolutely stellar and impressive young people. These are two young Republicans I'd like to introduce our viewers to. First, Stephanie Fattman. Stephanie is from Worcester, and Stephanie is actually a candidate for Registrar of Probate for Worcester County. Then I'd like to introduce Garret Shetrawski. Garret is from Winchendon, and Garret is a candidate for Worcester's 2nd District. And you're both running for public office in this coming November. Thank you both very much for being with us tonight on Your Right to Know. However, the secret is we're not going to talk about your election campaigns until right at the very end of the show. What we're really going to talk about is something that interests everyone on the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. But I dare say it probably interests everybody in the Mass GOP and in the United States GOP. And that's, how do we grow young Republicans? The millennials are defined as young people from the ages of approximately 18 to 30. You obviously are both in that age bracket as being millennials, and you're also Republicans. You're registered Republicans. As registered Republicans, you're not only saying I'm a Republican, but you're almost like walking the walk, because you're taking that designation and you're running for public office under the guise of being a Republican. So my question to you both is, what drew you to the Republican Party? Why Republicans? There's only like 30% of the nation that's Republicans, and much less when we come to the millennials. So Stephanie, why don't you go first?
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for having us tonight. Being a young Republican in Massachusetts, we're definitely a rare breed. But I know I personally grew up in a family of small business owners, and I saw from a young age what it was like to work hard and earn your dollar and then see where your dollar goes, see how you can spend it, and see where your tax money goes. And so I learned that growing up and really learned how to live within my means, live within a budget. And I think that's what really drew me to grow as a Republican and have more conservative ideas and values.
Garret, how about you?
Well, I'm kind of total opposite. I grew up in a Democratic stronghold family. I had a great-grandfather work for President Kennedy, and my grandfather is a staunch Democrat. But growing up as a young age, I always read a lot of books, and from history, you can see that some of our greatest presidents, Lincoln, first Roosevelt, they were Republicans, and it drew me to just common sense values, fiscal responsibility, and I think just being accountable for your own actions. And definitely, Stephanie's right, we are a rare breed.
Yeah.
And,
well, what do your friends say? I have to ask that. I mean, you're young people. You've been in college. You have friends your own age. You must be like the rare bird out there that's a Republican.
I think so. I think, first of all, if you find a friend or you find a kid in our age group that even likes politics, then wow,
yes,
you find a diamond in the rough. But then when you say, oh, I'm a Republican, especially where I went to UMass Amherst, it looks like you have 3 heads on.
Sure, they all walk the other way, yeah.
But I think almost at the same token, you're finding more and more kids at our age, not kids, young adults, that are more apt to hear the other side, and I think are coming around to. And I think this year, I think it's going to be different than we're used to in the last two cycles.
Okay.
I agree completely, and not a lot of my friends are Republicans, but it's a great opportunity to try to educate them and let them know the other side. We are a two-party system, and we should be a two-party state, and just letting them know what my beliefs and opinions are, and hopefully some of them were able to get on our side.
Well, that's one of the things that I find as I kind of hear young people talk, is that, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, Garret, is that young people don't really take an interest in politics at all. Now, I'm going to date myself, because I'm probably the Granny Moses of this table sitting around here, but I'm going to date myself. I grew up in the Vietnam years. Back in Vietnam in the 60s, early 70s, every young person was interested in politics, because why? especially young men, they were drafted. And if they weren't interested in politics, they could have ended up in a war situation. Without the draft, we don't have that now. So what we see is oftentimes is young people who are so engaged and so involved in their own lives, the technology, the iPhones, the iPads, the social media sites and things like that, that they don't really have an interest in politics at all, let alone whether you're Republican or Democrat. They're just not registered. Do you find that there's a lot of people out there who aren't even registered in politics?
Absolutely.
For party?
I think a lot of people,
They stay home on election day?
yeah, a lot of younger people I think tend to shy away or be turned off by politics because oftentimes it can get negative, and I think especially with mainstream media now, there's a lot of negative attacks and a lot of negative ads that people don't necessarily like or want to follow. So I think you have that element, and then yes, you're dealing with cutting through the media and cutting through the Facebook and the Twitter and things that people might find a little bit more interesting.
Of what's going on in Washington now, and even in Boston, we have poor management or scandals, both in Washington and in Boston. Garret, what are the scandals that happen in the goings on in Boston? We've got the DCF, we've got EBT fraud, we've got the compounding lab issues. I mean, it's just numbers of them, any numbers of them. What, if anything, do you think really sparks an interest in young people?
Well,
Is there an issue that kind of young people are looking at?
Well, you said you talk about fraud or corruption. Our last 3 Speaker of the Houses have all been indicted. You know, and it just continues to be the same thing time and time again. And for an issue or maybe an area that would spark a young person interest, I think it's the job market, college loans, college debt. You know, and I think when you do start talking about political issues, if you find someone who wants to talk about it in our age group, I think those are the issues they're talking about. You know, what am I going to do when I graduate? How financially safe am I going to be when I graduate? Is college even an option? Is a second degree an option? And I think those are all things that do affect all young adults who take that step to go to college, or if they go in the military, they still have to plan for that when they come out. And I said, I think those are the issues that they're starting to pay attention to. And like I said, that's not Republican or Democrat. That affects everybody. College is for everybody.
Sure. The media, we see a lot of actors, actresses, big Hollywood celebrities, sports celebrities, and when they get up and they give a endorsement for a political party or for candidates of a political party, people tend to gravitate towards that individual. Do you think that sways young people? Are young people swayed by Angelina Jolie or Brad Pitt or some probably younger people than them, even sports people on the Red Sox? Do they hold sway with young people to vote Democratic?
I think so, because I think that's the people that they're seeing on their news feeds. Those are the people they're watching on TV.
Through their social
I don't think
medias.
they're watching C-SPAN or Fox News or MSNBC. You know, I mean,
Makes sense.
Governor Christie at Shaquille O'Neal's an endorsement. I think that plays well.
Sure.
Because I think those are the individuals that they're constantly seeing, they're listening to, they may follow on Twitter, who knows. But I don't think, you know, they're following senators, congressmen. If you asked a college student to, I mean, in my political science class at UMass Amherst, not even half the class can name who their congressman was.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't think they're following a congressman. They're probably following an actress, a famous person.
What about President Obama in 2008 specifically? He really won on this nebulous hope and change meme. It meant nothing. It meant nothing. Hope and change. I guess it's like saying, I don't know, snowballs and puppy dogs. It meant nothing. And yet people, not just young people, smart people, people who voted years, went for it. Why? Why did that slogan, which was meaningless, bring people along with it?
Yeah, people definitely rallied behind that idea of change, and I went to college in Boston, and I remember the night Obama won, and the streets were filled with students just cheering and yelling, screaming. But when I actually challenged them on the issues or asked, why did you vote for this guy, or what was the issue that drew you to him, there wasn't always a response, and I think people just liked the idea of the change and couldn't necessarily articulate what about it they liked.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think it was the times. He came in a failing economy. We had 8 years as a Republican, George W. Bush, and I'll give it to the president. He's a master orator. He can rally the base, he can rally a crowd, and I think young people were drawn to that. He could connect with them. He was a little bit younger. He's not too old. And like I said, I think they're really attracted to that slogan of hope and change, and that's what we need. That's what we need in the coming years. I'm going to be a young adult. I'm going to start a family. We need change. I don't want this life right now. I don't want this economy. And I think they're really gravitated towards that until they realized that it was just a catchphrase with no truth or really action behind it.
Do you think people are changing? Are young people changing right now? I just saw some statistics, and maybe there is a little hope, because this was from the Washington Examiner, and this was back in 2010. 38% of young people, millennials, call themselves Democrats. 38%. By 2014, so that's 4 years, that number dropped to 35. Not huge, but a little drift. Contrary to that, in 2010, 23% called themselves Republicans. But now, in 2014, that number has bumped up to 25%. So both are going in a little bit of an opposite direction. Do you think it's because of these issues, college loans, poor job performance, the fact that hope and change didn't bring anything? Do you think those are, and so maybe people are waking up a little, young people are starting to become engaged. Do you think those are some of the factors that's making the numbers sway a little bit in the opposite direction? That the Republicans are going up while the Democrats are dropping?
Absolutely. I think when you start to see the issues that affect your life and how they affect your life, it certainly makes you rethink things. I also think that seeing that maybe the change didn't come as people were expecting really sways people's opinions.
No, I agree. Like I said, I think they're entering the job market. They're looking for houses. They're looking to start a family, and they're finally getting the bill at the end of the month. And they're saying, where did that tax come from? Where did this come from? And they're starting to realize that, this just isn't this is not a giveaway. You have to earn it. You have to work for it. And I think they're actually, like I said, they're starting to realize that and entering the job market where there's definitely not a plethora of jobs out there. They're working. Some aren't working. They're not working in a job that meets their field, meets their degree. And like I said, I think that's the issue. And I think they're seeing firsthand that 6 years and going on 7 years of this administration is not helping young people.
It's interesting that you mentioned taxes, and taxes are always going up, because one of the things we found with Obamacare, under Obamacare, is that that's a little bit of a Ponzi scheme. Obamacare is being funded for many of these people who don't have insurance and are going to be able to get insurance under Obamacare. Obamacare is being funded on the backs of you. It's not being funded on the back of me. I'm at the other end of the spectrum. I'm the user of the system. It's being funded on your back. Do you think that has resonated at all with young people, that they're the ones that are going to be paying for this?
I think so. I mean, we don't really see it because you're on your health care till 26. But here in Massachusetts, it's such a decisive issue. I mean, we led the nation with 2%, a mere 2% that were uninsured in Massachusetts. We proved to the nation that we can handle oral health insurance. So for a federal system that's based off our system to come in here and say we have to go to that, and then breaks the health care connector and the amount of money it's going to cost this state, another way that's just more taxes are going to go up to have to pay for that, I guess it's just mind-blowing. And like I said, I think they're starting to realize that. So when they see the numbers, I mean, I don't know, you can't refute it. It's black and white.
And in Massachusetts, we also have a gas tax. And again, my driving at my age, my driving is limited. I drive around Fitchburg. I drive around, Fitchburg, Leominster, Lunenburg. Young people going to jobs, you're the one that the gas tax going up every year, without question, is going to impact on. It's not going to impact on me, it's going to impact on you. So what can the Republican Party do? What do we need to do to start reaching your age group? What do we need to do to start saying, hey, this is a better way, this is a better message? What can we do? What do you think?
I think it's absolutely just working together and building that base and letting people know that it's okay to have the two-party system, that we all have ideas and opinions and we need to work together, share those ideas and flesh them out and see what works for our communities. Really just working as a team to build the group that we can spread our message and get that coherent message that we want to spread to all the voters.
Do you think that's true, or
Absolutely.
it sounds? I mean, that yes.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think it's going into places, reaching out to college campuses where they haven't gone before, where they
Okay.
think, you know, we can't build a base there. I think you can. It's going to take some hard work, but I think the more and more as the time goes on, I think our generation is more apt to listen. And maybe they're not going to be registered Republicans. Maybe they're going to be on the roads, but they might vote Republican this election. And I hear that a lot. I hear people are upset with both sides of the spectrum. And I agree. You know, Republicans aren't always right, neither are Democrats.
Right.
But like I said, I think the more you reach out to them, the more you try to just send your message to them. I think they're going to listen, especially now with what's going on.
Stephanie, specifically, well, let me ask one other question too before I go on to an individual thing. Do you think the fact that young people like you are jumping out into the public office, and now a lot of young people in this age bracket, 18 to 30, will see young people and they will identify with young people much more than they would identify with an older, seasoned politician. Do you think seeing young people like you taking on the challenge of running for public office will also start bringing along some political thought and people who want to follow suit and say, wow, that's a message I can listen to and understand?
Absolutely, and I think that's part of the goal, just reaching out to our peer group and letting them know that they have an opinion, it deserves to be heard, and we deserve to talk about it. And of course, working together, like I said, to just get our youth group to get out there and show that we have these thoughts. And I think the response has been overwhelmingly positive from people on the campaign trail saying that they're happy to see new people and younger people in office. And I think that sharing that is what we need to do.
Do you find that true also, that people look at you and say, a young person, I'll vote for you, you have a new message, you have a new thought,
Absolutely.
new blood?
You know, I always get asked how old are you, and I'm 20 years old, and I answer that. And but there's not really a negative connotation with it. They're more apt, like, you actually care? You want to get involved with this? I said, yeah, you know, I think more people in my generation do want to get along with it. I think, you know, more of my friends, since I announced my candidacy, they registered to vote. They're going to vote absentee from college. And like I said, I think it's just having someone their age group to say, yeah, this isn't impossible. Ideas are ageless. And I think we have to understand that. And
Little slogan,
Yeah,
ideas are
that's right.
ageless.
Ideas are ageless.
Write that down.
So I think the more we preach that, the more we understand that, you know, regardless of what background you come from, what demographic, you know, you need to be heard, you need to be listened to, and your opinion matters just as much as everybody else.
Stephanie, let me ask you this, because we have it on pretty good authority, I think it's been well publicized, that the Democrats this year are going to use as part of their campaigning the war on women. That there is a Republican war on women. The Republicans don't like women. We want to keep them down. We want to steal their birth control. We don't want them to have this, that, or the other thing. Is that resonating among young women?
I think that it's a political ploy, and I think most people are able to see right through it. I mean, I'm a young woman, I'm a Republican, I don't feel like there's a war against me. You know, I laugh when I think of when I was collecting signatures, there was one woman I would see regularly, and she would tell me she couldn't sign my signature sheet because she doesn't agree with my opinions on women. And it was a great opportunity for me to say, well, let's talk about mine and your opinions on women. And I think, as I've said, just educating and letting people know and opening that dialogue. But I think that when most people look at the issues in the war on women, they can see right through it.
It always seemed, we've actually talked about war on women, the Republican war on women, in one of our other shows, and it seemed that what they would do is they would get a lot of women all jazzed up about, we're taking away your birth control. I mean, that was really the sum and substance of where they were coming with the war on women slogan. Garret, you're in college, you see a lot of people, of your friends, they're graduating, they're getting out, no jobs. What is their future? What are they thinking? What are their plans of going out and turning this around?
You know, I might sound a little bit, I don't know where this, you may call me a realist on this, but I think it goes both ways. I think it's the economy, but it's also the individual. You know, when you go to college, you have an end date. You know when you're going to graduate. I'm going to graduate May 5th of 2016. You have that date. So in order to grab your major, what you want to do, you know when you're going to graduate. You know when it's time to step out and enter the workforce. So whether you're going into the military, if you're getting another degree, you have a timeline. And I think you should be taking intern opportunities, meeting the right people, staying active in your college to build connections. So when that time does come, you have a plan. and you have a backup plan besides that. I see it all the time in college. Oh, when I graduate, I'll look for a job. I think that just can't be the mindset. It has to be the mindset. No, I'm going to have a job when I walk across the stage. I'll have a job already. You said more than half, 7 out of 10 college students don't have a job.
Right. I'll just read my Slate magazine statistics on this. And Slate magazine has just reported that the unemployment rate for recent grads, and that would be as of this May, is 8.5%. But the underemployment rate is 16.8%. That's frightening to me. When you come out of college and you have all of these student loans, that becomes very frightening.
Absolutely, it's an investment. I mean, what else do you spend $40,000 on a year on? You don't see immediate return. Like I said, it's a huge investment. But if you use the tools that are given to you at all of our colleges, Massachusetts is home to great universities, state and private. And like I said, I think if you just develop a plan and you develop a plan of attack, how to execute it, you're going to be okay. Because there are jobs out there. You just need to find your niche and find out what you want to do and build your resume.
Well, and I think another one of the frightening things is that young people are coming out of college in tremendous debt. There are no jobs for them when they come out, so what do? They get into more debt by going on frequently to grad school. Now, previously, again, what I'll say, when I was young, you oftentimes got your grad school paid for, or you went part-time by your employer. Or, sometimes grad school was paid for by an employer as a way of keeping you, or you went part-time. You don't see that now. You see it because there's no jobs. So what do? I'll go on and I'll get more education. I'll get more. And so what that seems to be doing is compounding the problem.
I couldn't agree with Garrett more. It is an issue of planning ahead and thinking this out. And I can admit I'm in law school, and so I have gone on. And I spent several years working previous to law school. And so planning ahead and living within our means and knowing what we're able to do and preparing for it, because it's a very big reality that we're going to get out of both undergrad or grad school with a lot of debt. And we have to pay that off, and just preparing for that and planning for it.
We're really coming to the end of our show. So what I am going to ask you both to do now is look into your camera, and you have about 90 seconds to talk to the viewers and to tell them why they should vote for you. And again, Garrett, I'll ask you to go first, and you're going to be facing the camera over there. And I again will introduce Garret Shetrawski. And Garret is a candidate for Mass State Representative. He's from Winchendon, and that's in the Worcester 2nd District.
Well, thank you for having me on tonight, Mary.
Oh, you're welcome.
Right now in Massachusetts, we're faced with a huge decision in 2014. We can keep up with the Beacon Hill status quo, an unbalanced approach up on our state government, or we can bring back checks and balances, common sense values, and some fiscal responsibility, something that has been lacking in our state government for numerous years. I ask for you to join our team in the 2nd Worcester District, listen to what we have to say. We might not agree on everything, but I think we can find common ground in the field of taxes, Veterans Affairs, and the mental health problem that is a stigma surrounding my district, especially in child adolescent suicide. I think if we work together, stay positive, I think we can accomplish great things in 2014, and I hope you join my team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stephanie, and again, let me introduce you. Stephanie Fattman is candidate for Registrar of Probate for Worcester County, and Stephanie is from Webster. Stephanie, you're going to face that camera right over there.
Yes, I am running for a position called Registrar of Probate. It's not a very well-known position. It's going to be at the bottom of your ballot, but it does cover a large area. It's all 60 cities and towns in Worcester County. And basically, Registrar of Probate is an administrative position that oversees the documents in probate court. So your wills, your trusts, your marriage, those type of documents go through the probate court. Basically, we need to bring customer service back to that office. We need to focus on you, the people using the court. Almost everybody is going to go through the probate office at some point in their lives, yet they don't know how to use the office, they don't know what to expect, and they're daunted by the court system. So one of our biggest initiatives is bringing the office up into the 21st century by creating an online docketing system, an e-filing system, and a website where you can navigate all your files and find all your forms and documents in one central location. And then from there, we're going to do community outreach and let people know more about the position. Like I said, it's at the bottom of your ballot, and it is a position that covers such a wide area. So the crucial thing is letting people know that the position is out there and that we're there to help you. So my background is in business, and that's what really is going to help us manage the office. We're going to oversee the great individuals who already work there, and really improve the office to bring you the quality that you deserve in the probate court.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, also. Before we go, I do have a couple of minutes left on the clock. Let me ask you, you both actually touched on it. This concept of a one-party system, a one-party state, not having this balance that we like to have in politics. I think people sometimes think that, well, it's just okay to have a one-party state. But I think, and tell me if I'm wrong or expound on this statement, please, that I think what happens is what we have, a lot of the corruption, a lot of the graft, a lot of the scandals that have happened in Boston and also in Washington is because of the control of the executive and legislative branches by one party.
I mean, like I said, our government was founded to have checks and balances.
Checks and balances, yes.
And when there's one party up there running with free reign, and nobody looking over their shoulder, making sure that everything's done in a proper way, that's what you get. You have the three speakers, the last speakers of the House have all been indicted. Now Speaker DeLeo's in the midst of a federal trial right now himself. And that's the issue. Like I said, I hear it all over the district. There's Democrats who might not agree with us on everything, but they need to know that we need to have both sides up there. I said Republicans aren't always right, neither are Democrats. But the answers usually lie somewhere in the middle. And right now we don't get that. We just get one side with one issue appealing to their base.
Stephanie, Jew.
I couldn't agree more. I think the value of opening things up to discussion and hearing both sides is exactly what we need in this state and what we need in our country. That's the way our system was founded, and that's really what we need to work off of, a dual-party system.
Well, and I think also when we have a good working, a strong two-party system, what we have is, you know, everybody says, oh, I want transparency, I want sunlight, I want to open the windows and let everybody see in. I think that happens naturally if you have a good, strong two-party system. Because when you have a one-party system, that's when things get closed down and it stops the transparency from happening right there.
Yeah, the gas tax, in my opinion, is a perfect example. You know, it's taxation without representation. It's really that simple. Massachusetts is the cradle of liberty. It's where the slogan was founded. And for us to defy that, it's mind-blowing. I think it's something that needs to be repealed day one, something I'll fight for to repeal if I get up on Beacon Hill.
Love that one. Okay, thank you again, Garrett and Stephanie, very much for your insight, your valuable ideas and perspectives on young Republicans and what we can do as the Republican Party to help grow the Republicans. You've given me faith. You've given, look at this, it's wonderful because we have two articulate, attractive, intelligent young people running for office, and this does, it should give everyone pause that this is a very fortuitous time for us, that we can maybe start making some changes. As we say goodnight tonight, we'd like to thank you for watching Your Right to Know and sitting here with the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. As we leave, we'd like you to remember that your local city and town Republican Committee is your only grassroots organization that supports and holds dear your liberty and your constitutional and conservative values. We encourage you to join us as Republicans, or just come to one of our meetings, or check Mass GOP and to go to your town or local Republican City Committee. And why? Because in Fitchburg we feel that the GOP stands for growth, opportunity, and prosperity, and because we always stand for freedom. Thank you and good night.
America, we stand for freedom. So let us all unite to yearn and strive for our republic that reflects our values, that preserves our rights, and goes forth in power and might, that reflects our values and preserves our rights, and goes forth in power and might.